Hello, everyone, and a happy Monday. I'm here to give a presentation to Board of Directors of Brookshire. And as we all know, that we are in a transition of a new CEO, and our new CEO, Miss May, she came up with a new vision to enhance the performance of the organization. I'm very glad that Ms. May wants to introduce the servant leadership culture in Brookshire. In previous meeting, she provided us an article which I looked into details and will provide my feedback in next few slides in this presentation. And also, I come up with a new article for all of you so that it can better convince the board members to adopt the servant leadership culture. The agenda of today's presentation is that we will talk a little bit about the concept of servant leadership, and then I will also highlight the importance of evidence-based management approach that what we will prefer to use in a Brookshire Industries. The review of the original article, and then the process of systematic review, which I used to come up with a new article, which is better than the Melker and Bosco's article. The comparison between original and alternative article based on their philosophical perspective, research designs, and data analysis. At the end, we will have some conclusion, and I will also come up with some recommendations for the board of directors. Before moving further, as I said, I thank Ms. May for introducing the servant leadership and also want to implement that as a culture for our organization. Servant leadership is a great concept, and it is first introduced by Greenleaf in 1971. And according to him, the servant leadership is a philosophy in which the main goal of the leader is to serve. And this is different than the traditional leadership styles. They in the servant leadership, they value the people. So the leaders, they value the people, they develop the people, they invest in the people, they want to empower them, and then that leads to get more confidence um, from the leaders to the employees. And for that, the leaders, they display their authenticity. They have to provide the leadership whenever needed, but also they share the leadership, they share their power with their employees, and that's what encouraged the other employees to become or groom as leaders also. So it's very important and a very good concept for the organizations who are not only concerned with for their performance and high achievements, but they are also focused on the employee welfare. Moving forward with the process and introducing the culture, we have to see the importance of evidence-based management approach. Evidence-based management is a concept or idea which is to take a good quality decisions. Which the good quality decision should be based on a combination of critical thinking and the best available evidence. So, although all management practitioners they use evidence in their decisions, but many they pay little attention to the quality of that evidence. The results um, is a bad decision based on unfounded belief and ideas which are popularized by the management gurus. Um, so, to, to avoid that, the evidence based practice seeks to improve the way decisions are made. It is an approach to decision making and day to day work practice that help the practitioners to critically evaluate the extent to which they can trust the evidence. It also helps practitioners to identify, find, and evaluate additional evidence relevant to their decision, making them more confident on it. So before making any of the decisions, the management or the practitioner they should ask the question, what is the available evidence, instead of relying only on the professional experience and judgment. So there are four other principles very important for the evidence-based management process that need to be considered. The first is the use the scientific research findings, use the organizational data, facts, and figures as a source, and indeed also use the professional experience and judgment. But not only the professional experience and judgment. Combining all these together will lead us to make a wise and confident decisions. And a fourth one, which is very important, is the stakeholder values and concerns of the people who may be affected by this decision is very important. Having said that, I did the article review of Melker and Basco. It has some strengths because the topic of a servant leadership is an emerging concept. It's very relevant for achieving high performance organizations like Berkshire want to. Um, the authors they did a good job on a good literature review, but it has many weaknesses also. The first weakness that I want to point out uh, is a conflict. It's a conflict with the title and the research purpose. The title of the research is Achieving High Organization Performance Through Servant Leadership, which shows that it will be focused on organizations' high achievement as they adopt the culture. However, the purpose of the study illustrated in the abstract by the authors states that the study is conducted to investigate whether a servant leader can develop a culture that develop more servant leaders, which is indeed a contradiction with the title and the purpose of the study. Methodology of that article raises many questions. The methodology used for this article is cross-sectional study, and one of the limitation of this study is it cannot provide cause and effect relationship. It also sometimes be biased due to low response rate. So the authors they fail to produce any cause and effect relationship in questionnaires of mid-level managers and the senior leaders interviews. Another important weakness of this study is a low survey response rate. It's only 27% for a total size of 59. This low response rate raises many questions that whether the employees are reluctant to answer the questions or maybe they are reluctant due to the fear of unfavorable mid-level managers' behaviors. The authors they fail to provide any reason of that low rate, low survey rates. It might be the timing of the survey, it might be that employees are lazy, but at the end they did not provide any information regarding that, which actually um, lead us to not generalize their results. Hypothesis 1 is tested based mainly on arithmetic mean only. There was nothing provided for a data skewness. Uh, no further explanation of descriptive or inferential statistic were provided, which questions its replicability and validity. And at the end, the conclusion is not aligned with the findings of the research purpose. So, in my opinion, looking into all these weaknesses, the author, Malcolm and Pasco, they did not achieve the purpose of doing this research work. Due to that, I did review to find out the best article that I want to include or present in front of you. Before going into that, I just want to throw some light on the process of a systematic review. It's a type of a literature review that uses systematic method to collect the secondary data. It's they critically analyze the research and synthesizes the finding qualitatively and quantitatively. It has different steps. Before I will not go into the details of those steps, but just briefly saying that they start with framing a question for a review. So the problem to be addressed by the reviewer should be specified in the form of a clear and structured question. Then identify the relevant work. Search for studies should be extensive. It's multiple resources and multiple databases to find out the answer for the relevant question. After that, in the next step is the assessing the quality of the studies. The assessment, it's synthesize the data and see which methods were used. and then come up with some conclusion or discussions and findings. When after these following all these processes come up with some discussion and conclusion, that the one practitioner or the management doing the systematic review become very confident at the end, because they use the whole systematic process to come up with the studies or the evidences that they feel confident on, and it's easy then it's very easy for them to disseminate it to relevant people. I use this process, and I use this Holland and Rees framework to come up with the one best article out of the four that I was selected. I have also provided the reference of the article at the end of my presentation. The new article that I choose, it has many strengths. The research purpose is very well defined. The variables are very well defined. It has a clear hypothesis which is actually linked with the literature review that the author provided. The very good thing of this research article is that the authors, they provided the conceptual model for the better understanding of the readers. So they use the conceptual model of how the servant leadership in a company leads to the high performance. They use the random sampling technique for collecting the data. One another important aspect of this article and the original article is they use the SLQ by Barbato and Wheeler, so it was easier for us to see both articles on the same weight. The conclusion is clear and precise, connected with the purpose of the study. This article also has some weaknesses. It has the authors, they have provided a less of a descriptive statistics. Their results cannot be generalized because the institutions and the data they would use was very small sample. The authors, they provided the limitation of their study, and they mentioned to emphasize more and need to study more about the servant leadership behaviors. Having said that, compare actually both articles based on their philosophical perspectives. So, ontology, which is the nature of reality, the original article have a weak positivism, weak constructive position with data and sample, while the new article have a strong positivism with a clear research question and also strong positivism with the data. The epistemology, which is what constitutes the knowledge, the original article, the author have a weak positivist approach because their hypothesis is not very well linked with the literature review. The new article, it derived from the relevant data analysis, and the author have a strong position with the data and the sample collection. Talking about the ecology, which is what were the researchers' value. For the original article, it leans towards more as a value free and have some undercoverage bias because of a low response rate. For the new article, however, the author, they have a strong positivism and shows internal validity. Research design. As we discussed previously, the purpose is not clear and variables are not defined in the original article. In the new article, the purpose is very clear. The dependent and independent variables are very well defined. Methodology of the previous article has a mixed method approach, conducted interviews and survey questionnaires, but for the new one, some have used the same techniques of data collection from four different universities, and data collected through a survey questionnaires and hypotheses were defined very well. Sampling technique, the sample of the original article seems biased as it is collected from three auto dealerships who are already high in performance. 59 mid-level managers are participated in that. For the new article, they have a good sample collected from four different universities of the country, and the data was collected from 120 university employees. For the data analysis part, for the original article, there was no illustration of data normality and skewness and there is no information for the descriptive statistics. But for the new article, it's also like some descriptive statistic, but employees demographic information is clear. They used SQL by Barbato and Wheeler. with the acceptable reliability of 0.72 and 0.83. The inferential statistics for the original article, they use for their first hypothesis is tested based on arithmetic mean only. There was no further illustration of it, and only ANOVA used for hypothesis 2 with no further explanation on inferential statistics. So data replicability is a real question. T-test is used for a new article. Simple t-test was used, and beta values were assessed to test the hypotheses, which were very simple and clear without any ambiguities. Coefficient alpha was used for both articles to see the data validity. In conclusion of the original article and the selected article, the original article lacked the research purpose, which is not very clear and leaves many unanswered questions. It also fails to provide any descriptive and inferential statistic, which raises questions for its data replicability. It also have some undercoverage bias due to sample from 3 dealership and very low response rate of 27%, which raises many questions of its credibility. The findings are not consistent with the conclusion of the study. Hence, the new article, it is more clear. It's clearly defined the purpose of the study. And the purpose of the study is actually leads to clear findings. There is some lack of information about the descriptive statistic, but that analysis is very clear and simple. It has no bias in it. The findings are consistent with the research purpose. Although the new article have some weaknesses, and it's not the only one or the perfect one to make a final or management decision for the board of directors, but it is best enough to convince them to adopt evidence-based management process and do the systematic review to come up with better um, research or evidence to make a confident decision. Having said, I recommend to the board of directors to use evidence-based management as it's a great tool to make wise and informed decisions. So we should focus on that. We need to do more thorough research on the topic by using systematic review of the article to provide best valuable results to adopt the servant leadership culture. The servant leadership is a great approach, as I said, for Berkshire, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. But we need to explore it more specifically, fulfilling the needs of um, Berkshire's industries, and we can apply it with more confidence. Thank you so much for your time, and some references at the end. Thanks.